when you're drunk. You hurt yourself. Better than alcohol, man. Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you're trying to stop drinking, you need something better than alcohol. And alcohol's pretty good. So you better find something a lot better, man. Esteemable people do esteemable things. It's like, yeah, well, you want to figure out something that you're doing with your life that's worth not drunk and screwing up. You might say, well, why do people drink too much? If you like alcohol, that's a stupid question. Why do people drink too much? Well, because it's great. So why stop? Well, you do stupid things when you're drunk. You hurt yourself. You compromise your health. It's really hard on the people around you. You tend to turn into a liar, and it screws up your life. It's like, yeah, but it's pretty fun. Yeah, well, it is. But you need to...
Hey, what the fuck is up?
And what's better isn't being straight and not making mistakes. It's like that's all prohibition in some sense. What's better is...
Akira.
No, you need an adventure, man. Alcohol is an interesting drug. Alcohol. It's a hell of a drug. Alcohol. It's a great drug. But the problem is...
Yeah!
No, you need an adventure, man. You need to get out there and have something to do. Something worth waking up for. That's the substitute for the...
Anyway, yeah, what the fuck is up? Here we are? Yeah, let me turn that down.
Waking up for you.
Hello. Well, you know, for me it was waking up, putting on this fine suit, and coming down Don Studios to meet you.
Right.
Fine gentlemen.
I could provide that meaning for you.
Fine gentlemen.
Indeed.
And, yeah, what was it? You arrived, you were like, oh shit, are we underdressed?
Yeah, we walk through the door and then we see you in. Is that a three-piece? No, that's just. No, but there
are three components to this hoe.
You were prepared, even if you thought we were gonna wear suits, but you were still prepared to be more overdressed than we typically are.
Because your public image, as far as I know it, is you wear suits.
Yes. Well, I mean, I decided to go extra casual, as I mentioned to you previously, because you have the perception of a DJ, which you are, and I thought, hey, what's the funnest thing I could wear? Something with floral.
Yeah, that's very fun. I like it. It's very well fitting.
Yes.
It's you makes you look very good. Both of you are very well fitted. There you have the.
Well, that's like 9/10.
You have the sliders. It's fucking Birkenstock sliders like a G.
Beat up Adidas.
Yeah.
I like the
Eugene.
suit combo. It's fashion forward.
Eugene.
Is that Eugene?
Eugene. Yo, they kind of sponsor me. Sound is pretty low. One mic is not enough. So let's get this. Let us know how that is. Yeah, you were supposed to bring another mic.
We were. What's in the car? It's in the car.
Yo. Anyway. All right, let us know how that is. You need to get kissing close to each other, apparently. Says Nibinator. Thank you, Nibinator. Thank you, Nibinator.
Can we move that here? Does that work? Is that better? It might not be the most aesthetic, but move the tape. Okay, there we go. Fantastic. I'm sure people are still pouring in. Oh yeah. On account of they're pouring in. It's a double.
Oh wait.
Oh, this was just not
Oh,
on?
that was not on?
What?
So is that Is that an improvement?
Holy shit, so I heard the feedback.
Okay. This is getting off to a this is
Yeah,
a
this
great
is
start.
Yo, welcome to the most professional podcast on earth. My name is Akira The Don. No, it's not. It's
Akira.
yeah.
It sets the tone for the rest of the show.
Hello.
Okay. Well.
I'm gonna have to revoke your DJ license, Akira.
What?
I'm gonna have to revoke your DJ license.
How dare you? All right, darlings. How is that? How are we sounding? How are we? YouTube hero Alex, my guy moderating, says, "There you go, lol." Yeah. Frederico says, "Pouring in."
Pouring in.
Bryce Detroit says, "Much better." Now it's on lol.
Okay, so
See?
can you
That's
guys
like-
can you guys hear us when I crowdsource this? Can you hear us clearly? Speak.
Hello, I'm speaking.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the way,
speaking.
if you could introduce yourselves,
Okay.
to people at home.
So for those of us who aren't aware of who we are and what we do, I am Christian O'Brien.
This is Christian O'Brien, contributor extraordinaire, and this is Lex speaking.
Lex Vienna.
Video director extraordinaire. We're both extraordinary.
Very.
That's what I'm
Very
saying.
extraordinary.
This is true.
Very humble too.
Yeah, most humble person there is.
And what do we have here?
We have here a bottle of
Something-
really posh mezcal.
Very posh
That
mezcal.
was donated to the studio by Rebel Wisdom.
By Rebel, not Rebel News, not the Canadians.
confused.
No,
with
Rebel
that.
Wisdom, the British
They're
ones.
Yes, and speaking of which, I didn't even realize you were British until a few days ago.
Oh, really?
I was surprised to learn that. Something about your freewheelingness struck me as American. I don't
Well,
know.
that's why I moved here.
That's why.
I
'Cause
never really fit,
yeah, some
I never
people
really
are-
fitted in that weird cold
Oh,
Mordorian rock.
yeah.
I like the psychedelic labeling on that.
It comes with a cork too.
Like the
Where is
front
it
of
that
it?
you see?
Right?
Yeah.
Looks like something.
Yeah,
Keeps
this is good shit.
magnificently fresh.
Wifey
Show
and
the,
Hercules were in here last week and had a shot of this, and we ended up like doing Bendy and the Ink Machine karaoke for 3 hours.
Are you gonna pour me first, or okay? Didn't mean to steal your. There we go.
This is what is this?
This is.
That's okay.
This is
I don't
like
need
gang,
that.
gang, giggity. Giggity, gang, gang.
just,
This will get you
water.
like setting fire.
Water. This guy's a veteran.
You're supposed to do that as a DJ. You're supposed to have a thing with the bar staff
Uh-huh.
where, like, when people want to buy you shots, it's like a fake shot, but the person buying you the shot doesn't know.
Oh.
I never do that.
We're like
Oh,
an 80s.
really?
To that.
Oh,
We're in
Anyway, yeah.
We're getting the traders' inside secrets here. All right.
Vive la Revolution.
Adios.
We're like in a 80s still in which like the credits roll.
Gang. Anyway.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That is some. You definitely tell that's British.
Spicy.
Oh, that is zesty.
Spicy. So, anyway, yeah, so you guys basically make incredibly beautiful, and just the whole thing is incredibly well made. Your content. They make content. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. They make really perfect length, sort of like 7, 12-ish minutes. Is that about it?
It's
Yeah.
about
They
we
always
start
film
for about
perfect
anywhere
length.
5 to 15. Next
Yeah.
video is gonna be 15. So
And,
No, next week's gonna be like 20.
it's gonna be like 20.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's why it's late,
Nice.
guys. I'm not slacking.
Yes.
Quite the opposite. But
But they're
it's a lot
incredibly
more.
beautiful. They're very well put together. They're very smart. They're usually takes on sort of something that's going on, but then they look at it from a broader cultural perspective. You've done a bunch of really good videos on the cultural aspects of rap music, like why.
Yes.
That one video you did about why rap is popular was very good.
Yes.
That was last year, I think.
I think
Yeah.
that might have been one of the first things I saw of yours.
Yeah. That's,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. For
That's
sure.
one of my
yeah,
favorites
a lot of people
as far
got
as,
us introduced to us through that video, and that's. You can always tell when a video is significantly better because it's something that's really near and dear to you. One might say meaningful. And so, like, if it's something that comes from a
Yes.
deep place of profound meaning, then it's going to manifest. It's going to be manifested in your work. I mean, that's why anyone who advises you to write, if you're not feeling what you're writing, you should just stop. You should just drop your
Yeah.
pen or keyboard because it's the outcome. If you're bored by what you're saying, then other people listening to it are going to be bored. You know, so that's fundamentally the premise from which we operate, especially with that video. Because, especially with rap, there's just so much ignorance that abounds surrounding it, especially among those with, like, conservative temperaments.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because it's something that you have to work beyond. And the counterintuitive thing for me, now that you mentioned the rap video, is that I was somebody of that mindset who just hated rap, could not stand it.
Really?
Yeah, really, I hated it.
Until when?
Yeah, until last year.
Really?
Yeah, like last year, maybe a year and a half ago.
How about you?
Well, I've always been into rap. I love
Yeah.
rap, and he was not attuned to it until I
He introduced me.
I introduced him. I
So what-
gave him a taste.
What
so
was
to
it?
speak.
What was the taste? How did you ease him in?
Kanye West, I think, was the ultimate.
Kanye was definitely well. I mean, I always okay.
Fraction,
I will append that by saying that I always did have an affinity
Hobson.
for Eminem.
Hobson.
Yeah, Hobson.
I was
That's
like,
right.
I don't know if you want to be listening. I don't know if that's something you want to do.
I just needed that extra dose of consciousness.
Hobson, you're cool.
Did you see that video of
Goofing
Hobson?
on you.
Did you see the video of Hobson when he found out that Eminem had mentioned him on his new album?
He's very excited.
It was so cute. It was so sweet.
I like Hobson.
I mean,
Bless him.
not all the time.
There was a fucking billboard like right by my house for Hobson for like 4 months earlier this year.
you're
He'd, like-
still. I
he bought
commend
this
the fact that you
billboard.
didn't blow
He's
your
part of the
brain out,
mainstream
but-
now, which he.
It was like
might
him
not
and
be so happy about.
two like white chicks fawning over him in a kind of a sort of biblical thing, and like, there was a snake and all this stuff, and I had to like, oh hi Hobson, and we're walking back from DJ, and he's up there. My album's up 3 months ago, but I bought this billboard for 4 months. Like,
Right.
Oh Hobson.
There's also that massage parlor song he did, which was.
I'm not familiar. To be honest,
Interesting, let's say.
I dunk on Hobson, but I've I'm not at all acquainted with his discography.
But anyway, okay. So the gateway. You always liked Eminem, like all sort of
like
people
all
that-
white fucking.
all white
let's
people
say
that don't like
I'm a
rap
white guy.
music.
Cops
they'll
and
like-
podcasts.
And then they listen to Eminem, and then they like that's the gateway. And I
Then
still
you got a
yeah.
bit of a finger of the old Kanye.
it broke my hymen.
Bit of the
It broke my
Kanye at
rap
the butt.
hymen. That's right.
Yeah. And then what? Then suddenly you're like, oh shit.
And then I'm
now I
suddenly
understand.
like, once,
And then
then,
you're-
I went Kanye, and then once you go black, you never go back. It was that sort of deal.
Yeah.
I still listen to Eminem.
Next thing you know, you're rocking a Bad Baby.
Bad Baby.
No, I'm
I
not-
saw Bad Baby in Shake Shack last
No.
week. She was in my local Shake
What do you think
Shack.
of 15? Their new album. I don't like that I know that. Bad Baby's new album.
She has an album.
Yeah, she
I
has
didn't
an-
even know the album had come out.
I'm a rap,
should be
I'm a rap
embarrassed.
guy.
You should-
When did
no,
that
you should
happen?
be embarrassed
It's
by that
actually
knowledge.
not
When did
bad.
that happen?
That happened. It came out last week, I think, or the week
Oh, see,
before.
I missed that.
Very on top
Last
of
thing
Bad
I
Baby
heard
news.
was the one about Gucci flip flops,
I don't
which
even
is a
remember.
fucking
That's my
banger.
inspiration for this, by the way.
Banger.
So-
Gucci flip flops,
Peter
something about a dick in a
Birkenstocks.
box.
She wrote that
German
herself,
take.
right?
What?
She wrote that herself?
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it slaps, dude.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. If you enjoy the
I
experience.
don't care.
If
Who
you
cares?
enjoy that
Well, I
experience.
don't understand why people care if someone's written a rap song, but no one cares who wrote.
I can understand it from the
any
perspective.
R&B record or whatever. No one cares if Beyonce wrote her songs, but like you're supposed to care if fucking Cardi B did. Like I don't. Why?
I think maybe it's just like the pet peeve of writers. So maybe if you're a writer, you personally understand the work ethic that it entails and the effort it entails, and so it's like when
Hot
somebody
takes
else is
incoming.
because they receive.
you're
Well,
not
here's the
gonna
thing.
be-
Here's the thing. They receive the praise of the writer, and so writers feel like it's a stolen glory, a stolen valor.
But nobody
if
cares.
you will.
But like I said, no one cares if
Bit
Beyonce
myopic.
wrote a record.
Bit
And no one
myopic.
cares if
no, I understand it's my
You look at films,
it's probably a
and like they say,
personal-
well, the writers don't get enough credit, but it's like it's a group effort.
By the way, I saw.
as well as an album.
Well, people
They're
say
typically close
people
to
say
the
that
length.
because it's true if the writers receive no credit in terms of they receive no.
Okay, but they do though.
Oh, they do. Oh, you
They
can
get a
say
lot of
well, I
money
paid
too,
you.
by the
It's like
way.
Don Draper in that one episode.
Well,
where
it's like
he said,
Taz
"I paid you,
Taylor
right? That was your
and
praise."
him
Cool, I
producing
guess.
Scorpion. You got a jacket for that, and
I mean,
also
I
a lot
don't
of
know.
money.
I honestly, I mean, the thing is, you can like the music, but it's harder to respect the artist who is conveying something that was ghostwritten. It's harder to respect them as an artist.
Well, especially as a rapper though, because like if you're a rapper, that's literally your job. Your job is to write raps.
No, I mean, there's so many
and-
skills that go into it. There's so many skills that go into
I think
it.
your job is to rap. I don't really care about the writing.
Well, I mean, the delivery.
Don't-
I'm not
you know,
trying
I
to
was literally
understate the
thinking
skills that go
yesterday.
into like the delivery of it. I'm not trying to understate that. Like, that requires a lot of skill, a lot of talent. And so somebody like Drake, like you could write the same rhymes for somebody that was not Drake, and it wouldn't have the same effect because they're not Drake.
Yeah,
Drake-
Kanye uses a lot of other writers, and he's perfectly able to write his
but
own
I think-
shit.
but I think he
he also
collaborates with
understands
them.
if he collaborates with other people, he could get some shit that he otherwise wouldn't do.
Well, I consider collaboration different than just straight up ghostwriting, right? Like just straight, like somebody wrote it for me and I'm
Like,
writing the words.
what's
Like
his name?
Kanye collaborating with someone, receiving input and delivering your own stuff. I respect that more.
But one of the best rap lines
Quentin
of all
from Drake.
time, and it echoes around my head a lot. I was literally thinking of it earlier. Was "Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks."
That's
It was Diddy.
Is that
Was
from
that
Rap?
Diddy?
And I think Busta Rhymes wrote that for him, or someone did.
Really?
Like, it's the perfect thing with that, because it's like he's saying a thing, and you know he didn't write it, but he's saying it, and no one else could say it, and it mean what it means, and it's really fucking, like, just, like, ultra swag, and, like, very cool.
Yeah, like Lil Pump would not really
Lil Pump.
work with. Like 90% of Lil Pump is his delivery, frankly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's
Pump's
not all about
amazing.
writing. It's all about just guttural.
Someone
Gotta
wanted,
feel
someone
like
wanted me
guttural
to
noises,
ask you.
mouth noises.
Someone wanted me to
Let's
ask
find
you.
this out.
There's no hard questions. Only easy questions.
No,
Shout
I'm down for a
out,
hard question.
Big up Harvey Reid. Thank you for the super chat. Says first Brett and now 1791L. Akira, you rock. Good to see
Diet
1791L
of
in
worms.
this format.
Hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Honestly,
thank
the
you,
Brett
Harvey
Weinstein
Reid.
podcast was
tweets.
really good too. Like that was actually that was one of the.
Oh yeah, that
In
was
all
fascinating.
sincerity, that was one of the best podcasts I've listened to in a minute. That was
good.
quite good. Like when you guys started talking about music, it rang very true. Like that was like the way you guys could talk about that. You guys had a really good dynamic too. You know, I thought it was counterintuitive because Brett Weinstein is a very sort of straight-laced academic type.
Yes.
And obviously you are Akira the Don.
Look how straight laced I am. Got a three-piece suit on.
Maybe just today. Maybe just today.
Well, especially in a sphere that's like populated by a lot of free speech stuff, which I like free speech. I think it's great. But like you touched on a lot of meaningful and sort of like topics that aren't really touched upon and a lot. What YouTube is kind of populated with this sort of free speech, like droning, and it's great because that's really important. But at the same time,
We all love free speech. We get it. We all love it. We know.
I just
know
want to
it's
put that
true.
caveat in there. But you touched on a lot
Yeah,
of novel topics, and that was what made it fascinating in my view.
Good. And it was
Yeah.
just like this. He literally walked through the door like 5 minutes before
Oh, he
and
did.
something wasn't working.
And the harmonica was.
Well, I mean,
also
because we were kind of afraid, like,
harmonica,
you know,
but-
we were thinking that, like, we want to develop this repertoire before the show goes on.
Nah.
But it's what helps is that you are such a natural host that you just have this accessibility almost to say.
Yeah, you two seem also similarly
Right.
non-fucking weirdos. It's kind of
I'm glad that that's your like fucking bar that we have to go over.
We're
not
not
weirdos.
non-freaks.
I mean,
We're not Harvey Weinstein.
you're wearing fucking Birkenstock fucking slip-ons like a bad motherfucker.
I'm taking
He owns that.
quotes from
I'm wearing a floral shirt.
Cole
Yeah.
Bennett.
We're at
Shout
it.
out Cole Bennett.
But here's the thing, like oftentimes with a podcast situation, someone will come in, you'll meet them, you'll talk, and then you'll suddenly realize, oh shit, all the interesting stuff I want to talk about on the podcast, we've already talked about off air.
That's it.
Right.
Already
That
happened.
actually, you know what? I've noticed that too.
Always
that too.
happens.
Honestly, that is.
Who was that? Who happened with us? That happened with us.
That was no. That was both. That was with Nuance.
Nuance Bro.
Nuance brother. Shout out.
Shout out Nuance Brother.
Uh,
And
Shout out Cole
and so
Bennett.
so we
Akira
had
The Don.
we had this
Yeah.
great conversation with him. Like we had the podcast. We walked down the street, and then
right,
we
yeah,
had this
that's what
fantabulous, if I dare say, conversation down the street, and we thought, why didn't we talk about this on the podcast?
Yeah.
And then we realized, let's just reshoot it. And the reshoot was better, but it wasn't
Oh,
as good. It wasn't as good.
I mean, I
It
find
was better,
very
but it was
rare,
not
yes.
as good as it was that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were just talking to someone authentically.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sorry to bring it back to Peterson, but that's,
It all goes back to Peterson.
it's really, that's really what it
These
is.
Yeah.
All due respect. Like Peterson instructed me as much, I should have known. It's just speak the truth. It doesn't matter if there's a
Yes.
camera or a microphone in front of you.
Yes.
Just speak what you feel, honestly.
And you know, these days
Yeah.
there is always a camera and a microphone, whether you're thinking about it or not.
But
Somewhere.
honestly, those people mentally should not be in the room with you. That's what it is. Like
Yeah.
we exist here,
Yes.
and we're doing a performance, duh. But we are.
Yeah.
I love you guys, but you're not here right now.
Wifey says they need to speak into the mic. Oh, I don't know if that maybe that.
Oh.
Hi.
She also says, "What are you doing drinking?" Did I frame that? It's because you guys were like, "Oh, if we're coming on the
Is
podcast."
she mad at you?
This is not allowed.
She's very good at like keeping an eye out for my whole brand thing. And
Can we check? Can the chat hear us? Can we? Should we
let's
check?
check with her.
Oh, yeah, let me check the
But
chat.
yeah, we had
I
a
wanna
drink.
check
I don't know if
as
we framed that because these guys were like, "Yo, let's do this podcast," but like we have to have a shot to the drinking.
We
song.
have to. We
No,
must.
no,
We have to listen to JVP's drinking song.
In fairness,
shot.
we said we do have to. We did have to, because that song, that's my favorite track of yours. Quite frankly,
Hey, thank you.
it's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, people seem happy with the sound. Rage Magikarp says greatest crossover of self-made YouTube personalities I've seen in a long time.
Long time.
Long time. Yeah. I mean, I agree.
So
I
can we
agree.
get second confirmation
No,
that the sound is good?
YouTube hero Alex says
I'll-
yeah, you're
I'll
good.
sneak in here.
That's the king of the mods.
We're good. All right.
No,
So
King
we're-
of the mods says we're good.
We're
So
chill.
if the king of the mods says we're good,
the
then
king of the mods, dude.
we're good.
The
Baby.
king of the
So-
mods is the king of kings.
But anyway, so yeah, you guys make these really fucking slick, fucking sick videos.
I can't believe we've gone this entire podcast without talking about our videos.
Well, yeah. Anyway, and you're.
Talk about
but-
rap.
Talk about rap.
What's interesting about, well, there's lots of interesting things about you guys, but you describe yourselves as being of the right, and yet you're not, you're very cool, and you don't.
No, can we just frame that? You guys describe yourselves as being of the right, but you're very cool.
Because the usual thing is this is like, and I'm not slagging off Ben Shapiro here. I have to caveat. I love Ben Shapiro. I love Ben Shapiro. I was listening to him last night. He's such a little cutie. He was talking
The
about his
elephant.
wife. He was it.
Baby Ben, please come back to us, man.
Oh my god, I love Baby Ben.
We met
but
Ben
you know, it's
Shapiro.
like he's
Yeah, we
very
did meet him.
indicative of
Yeah.
the sort of like younger conservative types who still think that it's hilarious.
Look,
to
I don't want to
make
beat around
jokes
the
about
bush.
rap and a small C before it or whatever. And
Oh, crap.
To be kind of
Yeah.
and to be sort of divorced from whatever is going on in sort of culture, in whether it's underground culture or mainstream culture, or any kind of creative culture for whatever reason.
That's a divide, it seems, among our audience, because there's some people who I think are not as big a fan of our rap takes. But
Yes.
then there's another segment, a pretty large segment, I'd say, that are a big fan. They actually like us when we kind of analyze rap and different cultural happenings. So there's a bit of a blip, there's a bit of a divide there. Maybe you guys can let me know what you think of our rap takes.
I
chat.
feel this is a generational thing, and the generational thing is I feel that like people who sort of grew up with the internet wouldn't necessarily call themselves left or right, but they have values that are some of those values are in common with the right, like sort of like individuality and the importance of taking responsibility and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they love fucking rap music and other aspects of sort of low, so-called low culture.
Well, you're entirely correct to identify that it's a generational clash, which is that if you'll notice, despite the fact that we are right wing, I will express there's no ambiguity to that. Like,
which there often is, by the way. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm really like a left guy," but like
there are plenty of people. What I've noticed is that there are plenty of people saying I'm normally a leftist, but someone who has frequently correct takes. Well, what I would say to them is that maybe you aren't as left as you think you are. You've been convinced that the left is the side of reasonability, when in fact it has been. Well, I mean, at least contemporarily. I won't say it has never been. There's a tug and pull, right?
That's what's troublesome about the spectrum.
At this point in our culture, the pull is on the side of the right, which is reasonable. Now that will change eventually, as it always has, but presently that is the case, right? And so they recognize, okay, you guys are saying many things that sound correct to me, but I identify as a leftist. Why is that? And that's simply because the values of free speech, of general economic freedom, which people are in favor of, and look, there are reasonable apprehensions about where economical freedom will take us. I won't address those here, but I will say that it's just like people understand there's a atrophy of social cohesion. They recognize that, and so the right kind of tries to answer that, specifically conservatism, because the right also entails libertarians who aren't as focused on that. There's there's a greater pull toward conservatism, which focuses on social adherence, and people are recognizing that need. And so when you describe that there is a need for that, their ears perk up and they begin to think, okay, I realize that we're lacking this now. I've been told that total self-involvement is the path to happiness. In fact, the pursuit of happiness is it will lead to the acquisition of happiness. In fact, it won't. So they're understanding this.
Because none of them are fucking happy.
None of them are. No.
Because we've had sort of like 5 or 6 years of like super depressed memes.
And we all
following all of your desires isn't freedom.
Exactly, and those memes resonate.
Gang,
exactly, gang. Yeah. And it's true. It's just that those depressed memes resonate for a reason. It's just that we are bred on the internet. We have this artificial. The funny thing about social media, it strikes me now, is testament to the fact that we want to socialize, but this is this fucking like weird impotent socialization. This is this weird artificial like I'm talking to you, but really I'm not. And so you want these dopamine hits of notifications of that new. It's not even the substance of the notification. It's just hitting that notification and recognizing that notification and going, that validates me for a few minutes, but it's not enough.
There's also that thing I think of this. You know that thing when you've like had some kind of interaction with someone and then you walk away and you're like, oh, if I'd said that'd have been really cool. Like the internet is full of people having an interaction, going, what shall I say that will be really cool? Here's me saying the really cool thing. So it's lots of interactions that aren't necessarily the kind of the honest or sort of the reaction that you would have if you're in the room with a person right there and then. It's reactions that would happen if you sat down with your Buffy the Vampire Slayer DVD and like thought of a really funny thing to say. And so therefore it's not a genuine interaction, and it leaves people feeling a lack of the interaction despite having had it.
Right.
So there's a slight sadness echo.
Well, it also brings to mind the sort of meme about the like the 15-year-old saying all the shit to your face that you would never say to your actual face.
Exactly, that's the other side of that.
Yeah, that's another side of
that.
That
certainly is the case. Yeah.
A lot of commenters bring that to mind in my day-to-day.
How is your community?
How dare you?
How is your community?
On a sort of like friendship level.
Well, I mean, like you're
No. He means in terms of
as in
our fan base.
As in your YouTube.
Oh, our community.
I
love you guys. I love all my fans are kings. All the subscribers are kings. I have nothing terrible to say about you guys.
No. I mean, our community is great.
Except the alt-right types that talk about Jews all the time. I like Jews, so.
Yeah,
sorry to disappoint you guys.
We
wish I was Jewish.
No, we did exculpate a great number of those guys.
You could pass as Jewish.
I've gotten.
He's been told that plenty of times. Yeah, he could pass as Jewish.
I'm pretty sure there was a commenter that said like, I know for a fact that Lex said he was Jewish. It's like, no, I didn't say that.
No, I mean, you know what? I really do love the flip side of these things, whereby we have the entire alt-right. We know this firsthand. they think we are Jewish. They put no, they really do. We're not Jewish, for the record. And then of course the alt-right is conspiratorial, so they're gonna say, actually you are Jewish. You're just saying that you're Jewish to trick us, and it's just like this fucking weird, ever expanding web of Jewishness. But no, we're actually not. I'm Irish German, and I'm a little bit Cherokee. He's Ecuadorian and some change. Mostly Ecuadorian. Whatever Ecuadorian. Latin Americans are all mixed, so there's that. Neither of us are Jewish, but they have this conspiratorial web spun around us by which we are Jewish, and we're, trying to slip in some sort of like anti-white agenda. Of course, because
we've also been called crypto-fascist by some leftist.
That's really good, though.
There's that. No, I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Either we're crypto-fascist or alt-right, or we're Jews. There's no like in between. People can't process that we're not Jews and we're not alt-right, and also that Jews aren't bad to the alt-right.
This kind of reminds me of the Ghostbusters thing, though. It's like
they are busting ghosts.
No, but a tiny minority. Like I was watching Red Letter Media do a scientific breakdown of the whole Ghostbusters 2016 trailer controversy, and they worked out that of all the comments, 0.08% were negative and could be framed as misogynist. And some of those weren't really, but like he was going, okay, if we're going to be like just like liberal with it, all right, 0.08, and that's all everybody focused on for various reasons. But it was just this tiny amount of people, and it's the same with this stuff. There'll be a tiny amount of people who say funny things like that. Yeah, that's where the focus goes. It's a weird thing about
very vocal minority
right now
that gets an outside.
But it works on
influence.
both sides. People are like, "Oh, fucking SJW is ruining everything," and it'll be like fucking 8 people on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. No, people love to. I mean, this is the thing. I think this might be because of the localized nature of the human mind, which is that we have greatly transcended our biological. And of course, I'm not an expert on this. I don't pretend to be. But we basically are conditioned to exist within communities of about 100 or so people.
Yeah,
you'll hear biologists talk about that
right now.
No, we've nationalized that.
I mean, like we're interconnected to the tune of
globalized
fucking billions.
Yeah, we're
to a certain extent.
cyborgs now.
So we see this, and we don't know how to process that. So we see a small group of people, and because our brains are localized to a small group of people, we naturally assume that is a threat to the tribe. The tribe in our minds is 100 people. So you see, this is extrapolatable to a whole bunch of things, from immigration to guns to all of these issues, which are that, like, I'll play both sides. Gun control activists think that a singular mass shooting is representative of the risk posed to the whole mass of society.
Well, it's like hearing about a tiger in your tribe area.
Right.
That's what you think. Like,
so they're trying to call out a danger.
Yeah.
They're really risk averse in this regard. They're calling out a danger that exists, but at this stage in society, relative to the individual, is very minuscule. Same thing with immigration. The concerns with immigration should not revolve around crime, because a lot of this is surrounding criminal immigrants, alien or otherwise, are about equal or less than the greater population of United States citizens. That is factually true.
Which is all going down.
Right, exactly. Which are all going down. Yeah. Steven Pinker.
Shout out Steven Pinker.
Shout out to Steven Pinker if you're not watching this.
Shout out.
But that is correct. But we've sort of misframed the debate. I mean, so much about politics could be synonymous with misframed debate, frankly.
We
talk past each other.
We're having these ghost arguments that nobody actually believes. We're not actually talking about the issues. We're not actually arguing on common ground. We're pretending that our opponent believes something that they don't believe, and and then we're arguing.
You start crying.
It almost. I could cry. It's fucking tragic.
You're very in
What's
it.
happening?
You're like very in it. You like your Twitter feed. You're, aside from a good amount of memeage retweeting going on and cultural happenings, you're very deep in the day-to-day what's going on in politics.
Yeah, it's an addiction. It's like
the dopamine hits keep coming.
The dopamine is my cocaine for sure. You know. Yeah. So I have to spit that new hot take as soon as it comes to mind.
That's why you keep hearing sirens. The hot takes.
Yo, because we're in sexy downtown. We're in sexy downtown, and we're like on the 11th floor in a beautiful building.
It is beautiful.
It's a 100-year-old building, and in LA, that's like as old as it gets. That's as old as it gets. And this is where Blade Runner was made. Is
that right? Oh, what?
This is
the first original Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shout out to Jeremy Minard. Thank you for the super chat. Says, I can't express how happy I am to see this happening. What an
Gang.
incredible surprise. Yeah, that's what
Thank you
that's
very
what
much.
we're about.
We're trying to
That's
surprise
what's
you.
going on. That's what's going on. As our homie Dave Rubin said, this is the year of strange alliances.
Dave Rubin, shout out Dave Rubin.
They didn't know. I mean, is our alliance so strange though?
No, actually, I don't think it is that
All right,
strange.
now this is not the strangest
That's what's
alliance.
funny. It's not, but it's some people
Yeah.
like, oh my god. Whoa, like,
No, people think it is. Well, it's because when you're a fan of somebody and you're a fan of another person, it is weird to see them when you didn't expect them.
universes
to,
colliding
to
because you
collide.
think of it like comic books,
Yeah.
that are different companies. So it's like, well, Batman and a Spider-Man.
Exactly, it's a crossover. It's
Well-
almost like Jordan Peterson and Harris, like ostensibly sides of different coins, but then they had these conversations, these long form conversations.
I haven't seen those yet, so don't spoil.
Oh,
it.
you have
No,
not?
I'm gonna
There's
do them all back to
four
back
of them,
on the
so you got
weekend,
quite a...
Dude, you better just
Me
sit
and
down.
White going to do them back to fucking back to
Yeah.
back.
That
But
is-
yo, that last one they had like a black stage where there was fucking armchairs and shit. Like,
Right.
Yo,
I'm happy for your
Cool,
marriage that
cool.
you guys just sit down and vibe over Peterson and Harris.
that's what's funny.
How many people
It really-
can fucking say that?
It really has got to that point. What did we do the other day? We were like, oh yeah, I was going out to DJ. We had like an hour before we went to DJ. We put on like Ruben and Peter Thiel.
Oh, really? I haven't even seen that
I
one
haven't
yet.
seen that one yet. That
No.
one seems interesting.
Have you read 12 Rules for Life yet?
What's that?
Have you read 12 Rules yet?
No.
No?
No, I just made the album.
Oh, you made the.
No, I actually haven't read the book. I've fucking listened to
Well,
it.
man, it's
I've
like
listened to
life
like
is
300
hectic.
hours of him talking about it and 300 hours of fucking lectures that went into it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say that
haven't
there's,
actually read the book.
yeah, there's no substitute for sitting down because the difference between reading. Well, I mean, firstly, he's
Probably
talking about
just
studying-
alienated half my crowd, by the way.
No, not true. Not true.
Akira.
You're trying to Pavlovian condition them right now.
I have. Trust that, and that reminds them of Happy Feelings. Happy Feelings they had at the beginning of JP Wave 2 or whatever. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Just ended your career.
It's over.
Sickest diss track of all time. Yeah. But
shot there.
but no, but seriously, but Killshot.
Rap reference.
What'd you think?
I know rap.
What'd you think of that track, Killshot?
I think Eminem sounds like your fucking angry old fucking ex-alcoholic divorced uncle at a wedding who keeps shouting in your ear about
That-
stuff that he thinks is relevant to your generation and it isn't. It's just like, go.
But sometimes that's good, though.
Annoying old guy. And,
Sometimes that's fun.
I don't think Eminem's made a good record since he like was angry with Everlast and he was wishing him a heart attack on him, and that was like 13 years ago.
We're
I
certainly
think that was
a
his
ways
peak.
away from Benzino.
All right, so we have our first
That's for sure.
1791 Akira debate right here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true because it's like a half debate because I'm kind of on his side.
No, you're kind of on his side. No, I'm
locals. Christian O'Brien.
That's fine.
versus
Christian
reasonable
O'Brien.
people.
I'm the underdog. Christian O'Brien's the underdog here. I am a big fan of, and I'm coming from the perspective of somebody who was wholly in your camp just last year. I fucking hated the guy. I was like, okay, he's a has-been. He's done. He'll never produce another decent album in his life. And
Yo,
then,
when you watch it leaving through the window, guess that's why they called it window pane.
oh come on, man.
Eminem gang.
It looks like I just lost it. It looks like I can't say anything because he's had a few cringy moments, right?
A few.
Come on, Akira.
His whole
I feel like I would've punched the
catalog
world
since
in the
2004 has just been really cringy moments that I don't know how he's been allowed to get away with. Like no one else would be allowed to get away with it.
Well, okay.
Well, I feel like in the studio, someone should have been like, "Yo, I don't know if you want to sort of like include
Well, okay.
that line. Maybe
Okay,
you
I
should
think you
cut that
guys
out."
pointed out. You did a video on him recently,
Yeah.
and you pointed out that
We-
terrible.
Yeah,
line
dude,
he
our
had.
last video was actually, it started out with the fact, it was
Yeah.
motivated by the fact that I really enjoyed, I'll say this at the forefront, I really enjoyed Kamikaze. I really did.
That's good. It's a good album.
I really did.
Okay.
Sorry if that makes me a fucking pariah. All right.
It's not about
But it
pariah.
was-
That's quite extreme. I mean, you're wrong.
Everyone's leaving these chapters.
Well,
now.
that's being a pariah is better than being wrong, by the way, Akira. I'll have you know as much.
Anyway, sorry, Karen. So you enjoyed Kamikaze.
I enjoyed
You enjoyed
Kamikaze.
Kamikaze, and so then you wanted to make a video about why.
So then we thought to make a video about Eminem because we understand that.
Well, we've been meaning to for a while because he's been kind of in the sort of he's been touching the political ether, if you will.
Well, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
because
for the past,
the thing is, like,
few
Eminem
months.
being political is nothing new. He's always been vaguely
also
sort
true,
of political, but he's always touched on a nerve that we felt that, like, whatever you say about Eminem, because he's obviously polarizing both politically and musically. Whatever you can say about him is that he is the most successful rap artist of all time. That is beyond dispute. Like, I don't care how you define success. Materially, monetarily, he is the most successful rap artist of all time. You're thinking about that.
Which
but
means
I-
something.
I-
Which
I
means
looked it up.
something.
Akira, you're thinking about that. I assure you.
I was just trying to think because like
Yeah.
his last decade wasn't that successful. I was wondering if like Drake.
No, even
might
his
be-
albums
All time,
I wonder if
though.
Drake might be bigger by this point.
No,
We've checked this because I
No.
thought that too, and it's not the case. He's still the
Yeah,
most.
he thought that.
Really?
Yeah, we actually had this debate. Like I
Okay.
said this, and I was right.
Okay.
As always.
Well, not as always. For the record,
As typical.
not typical. Atypical.
started recovering from a cold.
Oh my god.
A bad cold. Yes.
God, you're dying.
No, I was dying a few days ago. Today, I'm feeling okay.
I feel like every time we do any sort of audio podcast type deal, you're
I'm
always sick.
Yeah, I frequently weaken my immune system.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or deliberately?
Purposely, yeah. I hate myself. It's my form of cutting. I'm just like, I want to make myself sick.
Any event, you were talking about Kamikaze and how much you loved it.
I was talking
It's
about
not cringy.
It's actually no. I mean, at some points, it's obviously at some points it's cringy, but there are so many.
The first line just comes off as cringy.
No, the
Punch
first.
the world in the
I feel
face
like a lot of
line.
people are negatively predisposed to it because he bumped it for me after like.
He bumped it.
We went out to.
1791
so
HQ.
We went
bumping
to
Eminem.
I fucking hate you guys.
So I was bumping it for you.
It's got incognito roasted, but so we went out to the club, and so we got back and we were both kind of buzzed, and he played it.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and so initially I hate it. I listened to Fuse for Words because he says I feel like punching the world in the fucking face right now, and I just
He doesn't have that much bass in his voice.
No, he doesn't. So it doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? It could work for somebody, but not him.
What were you?
Maybe you. Maybe you
It
should.
could work for me.
Yeah.
I do. I've been told that I should do some radio shit.
Radio
shit. There should be a
Radio
disc
shit.
jockey. I heard
1791
disc jockey would be good.
Or
You guys could have a very dope radio station. I mean, I could see you expanding your brand into a lot of stuff. Like, it's got a lot of scope.
We're gonna launch some merchandise pretty soon.
Good. Well, your design aesthetic
His design,
is incredible.
his design.
I've been
It's
saying
his
this, so it's
design.
all you that does that.
It's all him.
So it's really fucking good.
it's me
Yeah.
doing
It's
a
so
web,
good.
by the way.
It's this.
Yeah, I give him input, but
if you haven't seen it,
the
it's
brain
kind
child.
of like this,
Smackdown. I'm like, no, I'm doing it my way, bitch.
Well, sometimes I'm.
It's like this
Sometimes you
beautiful
take it.
I'm just
blend
kidding, he has ideas.
of peak Terry Gilliam, when Terry Gilliam was really like doing great things with early Monty Python, and kind of contemporary sort of post vaporwave, post internet sort of aesthetics. So it's got this like really cool sort of cutout stuff, but like little filtery things, and like little, it's very clean, but has enough dirt on it for it to feel organic in a digital world.
I will say that I am trying to detach myself from the sort of vaporwave movement, which I like vaporwave.
It's got it's
Yeah.
just got little flecks of it. It's not too much of it.
Yeah.
Because that thing.
Because I
has
think
been
vaporwave's
really-
kind of getting saturated, if I might say.
has been
It's a
done.
little
I mean, like
saturated.
that color scheme's always been my favorite thing.
It's
one
good, though.
It's one
I
of
like
the
it.
reasons I moved to this city because that's the color of the skyline on the right day. LA just looks vaporwave at about like 7:30 p.m. on.
Well, it's sort
on
of
a good evening.
yellow, well, not yellow, like pink blue sort of palette that is very common in that sphere.
Yeah.
Vaporwave.
I'm checking Twitter. Hold on.
What's happening?
Meaning wave is the.
I'm trying to retweet.
Yeah. Let me just check in on the chat. Yeah, what's going on, gang? Nice to see everybody here.
Gang,
Look
gang.
at you cuties. Ghastly Soup, you big bad motherfucker, says damn big fan. Hi. Victor Snow says a man's cold. Yes, a man's cold. Oh, that's exactly it. So
Let's
Pepper
argue
says,
that.
I'm literally recovering from a cold right now.
Oh,
Well,
you
there
are.
you go.
Hopefully
Is
you're
Dre
not
the most
coughing like I
successful
am.
rap artist of all time? Dre. This guy, Lord Penny says.
Wait, did somebody say
wrong?
Did somebody say Dre is?
No, monetarily.
Yeah, Dr. Dre is the most successful rap artist of all time.
By extension.
Albeit outside of rap, yeah, because...
No, I mean it's.
Wasn't
hard-
it Puff Daddy though? That's the richest, most materially successful rapper. I thought that.
No, he's
Dre,
most.
Dre,
No, not material. Not in terms of album
Beats
sold.
by Dre. That
Dre
also,
took him over last year because of the Beats by Dre
Yeah.
thing.
Which okay, we can't have any confusion about how we define success. Success is either you can define success in a number of ways, either cultural influence, album sold, or wealthy, right? So it's like I don't know, neither do I care who the most wealthy rap artist ever is.
Well, because
you can do that
Puff
for a
doesn't even
variety
make
of
music
ways.
anymore.
He doesn't make
very
music.
often.
He's
Like,
probably
that
not. He's not
much,
even
at least.
involved in
Don't
music.
worry if I write rhymes, I write checks.
That's all you.
Game.
That defines your existence, doesn't it, Akira? That's
Defines
near and dear to your heart.
So I heard this story about him coming in with a yacht to a party, and then
You told me about that on the way over.
yeah,
But
sailing
yacht,
away
well, hey,
into
hey,
an
hey.
island. So that's a little taste of Puff Daddy's life for you.
Gang
Inside scoop.
activities
Just kidding.
only.
I heard that somewhere else.
Only.
That's not me.
All right, so you've
Not
got
my
this
source.
beautiful aesthetic YouTube channel. You've just launched. Firstly, what is the name? What does the name mean?
So 1791 has a lot of meaning, and that's
It means it's
Yeah.
the year the Constitution was ratified.
well, it also has to do with the fact that Thomas Paine's Rights of Man was also released in this date. Edmund Burke's Reflection on the Revolution in France, I believe, was also released. So it's a very a year that has a lot of consequential events in it. So that's mainly the reason. And more recently, we've added Diet of Worms to that, and I think
Yeah,
that,
say that again.
Yeah,
Was it
Diet of Worms.
Diet
Yeah.
of Worms. And
Yeah.
what is Diet of Worms about? That sounds very goth.
It harkens back to Martin Luther,
Uh-huh.
who challenged the Catholic Church's orthodoxy and almost got burned at the stake for that reason. And he in this sort of committee diet. They called it a diet back then. It was an imperial diet in which all the princes and intellectuals of the time would come together and basically ruminate over different religious. Basically, doctrines, essentially.
Well, I mean, they would claim something as their doctrine, and it was just meant to be implicitly understood. So they assumed that they had.
Well, they would convene together to sort of discuss any sort of hot topic, and more broadly, Diet of Worms references Martin Luther and his appearance in this diet, in this sort of conference, and. In this conference, he was told by the princes and the intellectuals and the kings to recant his writings, which basically cast into doubt the Catholic Church's authority, really, to interpret Scripture. And he said, essentially, that either you got to prove me wrong by Scripture or reason, or else I'm not recanting, and they weren't able to do that. And so he was almost killed afterwards, but he made it out alive and wrote the German Bible. Anyway, so it's a really big...
Anyway, so this entire historical journey I just took you on. Anyway. No big deal. No big deal. Hey, it was just that Martin Luther fucking totally revolutionized Catholic teaching.
Well, Western thought.
Western thought. Well, I mean, by extension, I mean it's really powerful in general, because Martin Luther's role was such that he encouraged skepticism in the cemented institutions of the time. Like, he translated not only did he refuse to recant his writings, which he revolutionized through the spread of information, like his pamphlets spread far and wide, which first gave rise to the perception that the free exchange information is a high value in the...
Well, the printing press was a nascent
right, it was a nascent
technology back then.
And he used it to great success, right? And so he did that, and then after he was abducted, following the Diet of Worms, the trial of Worms, is a more shorthand way of thinking about it. Then he translated the New Testament into German, which enabled him to, which enabled people to question to weigh against what the Catholic Church said against Scripture, right? And so people could suddenly think for themselves. They could fact check, essentially. Unfortunately, we live in a different kind of fact check culture in which the facts are not facts, but then facts meant something, so they could check it against Scripture with a reliable translation, and then they could it uprooted civilization simply because of the fact that people could no longer not question the Catholic Church. And so, I mean, to bring this back to 1791, I guess it seems like
a meaning in there.
Our channel is predicated on the questioning of established norms. So that's fundamentally what we're trying to do.
Yes.
And so, like, that's why it was his idea.
Okay.
That initially I was actually skeptical. I was like, okay, I don't know if I.
Well, it is a strange name. You think
strange.
worms.
Think diet of worms, like meaning words. Ugh, gross. And then I read more about it, and I went, actually, this feels kind of applicable to what we're doing. This feels pretty meaningful, dare I say.
So it feels you're sort of switching up a bit.
How do you mean?
Well, you had a channel, and now you have a website about worms. And
hashtag worms.
Changing or progressing? We're trying to.
We're evolving.
You're expanding. Where are you going?
Well, that's
such a scary question.
That's a scary question.
Where are you going?
Facing the unknown, the dragons, these snakes.
To be honest, the thing is, nobody can ever answer where they're going. They're going where people. You're going where people want you to go, essentially. Like within your own, you define your progression, but people kind of. You respond to the demand of what people want, and you'll try something, and then people will respond to it either positively or negatively.
So what do they want from you? What do they want?
Well, partly the reason we got a separate name for like a sort of parent company for Podrune America and also 1791 is because someone bought the domain name for 1791L, and so I was like, you know what, back to the drawing board I go, and that's partly why. But also I also think the name is interesting.
No, it's a dope name. I like it, and it seems to be expanding the universe.
Yeah,
and, that's always interesting.
But it also harkens back to a really consequential event in history, and I think that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean both 1791 and Diet of Worms harken back to a crossroads of history, and we're at another crossroads of history, which is what partly makes the drive of this channel so current, so meaningful, so
well, that's what we
contemporary. Many
viewers may have noticed that we've also kind of distanced ourselves from the sort of day-to-day political minutia that you see sort of Ben talk about, and I like that. I like sometimes checking in on Ben and see like what the day-to-day happenings are.
I feel sorry for Ben right now.
On
We're
DC,
just constantly
on the hill.
What, selling life insurance?
Yes, life insurance.
I'd rather like.
Oh my God!
Anyway, now
We also
you need to live. You're going to die. You're going to leave your family. You're not going to go.
That is a good Eminem impression.
No.
Eminem and Ben
Eminem, Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro could have been the best rapper alive.
What's it with white people?
Could have been the best rapper alive. Ben Shapiro.
We also have the sort of
Gavin McInnes had a good podcast.
My wife's a doctor.
I'm gonna make a Ben Shapiro wave.
Ben Shapiro wave. It's not a wave.
That would be.
What's like a fast wave? What's like?
He'd be like the hi hat in the.
What is it when water? Like what's like when a dam bursts or something? What is that?
When a dam bursts, it's
When
called.
water's running very fast, basically.
torrent.
I believe. Torrent. Yes, torrent.
Shout out Pirate Bay.
Shapiro torrent. Shapiro torrent.
If Muslims are involved, it's called an explosion.
I didn't. That's not co-signed by me.
He doesn't
not
condone that. He doesn't condone that
1791,
shit. He
Died
doesn't
of
condone
worms,
that shit.
popular in America. All of the other fucking names we've come up with.
So we've talked a lot about us, but we haven't talked a lot about you, Akira The Don.
It's time to talk about you.
So, like, your project is interesting because you're not somebody who started out being philosophical or political. Political is a little more murky a term, but philosophical, I would prefer to say. You're not somebody who started out with that. You're somebody who started out making music. You dabbled in rap. You've been a DJ. And so suddenly there had to have been a point, an inflection point between you and Jordan B. Peterson, which kind of did Jordan Peterson mark your awakening?
No.
Well,
No?
you also talked about
No.
Alan Watts, right? If I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
Have you talked about Alan Watts before?
yeah.
Because he was very popular back in the 2015 or so.
I
don't know
think
if you're
Alan
aware
Watts
from
is
then.
interesting right now just because he's talking. He spoke about a lot of the same stuff as Peterson, just from a different perspective. He's
Right,
like,
right. From more of an Eastern
perspective.
Yeah, Eastern
Peterson
Which you
seems
do
to be
not
doing
seem
for
to
like
know all
Western,
about.
for like Western culture, what Watts was doing for Eastern, and it's funny that we need Peterson now because we have two generations of people who've been sort of denied their own sort of culture in that regard, and that's what he's doing. Peterson, I mean, a lot of this stuff has been stuff that's been what I've been interested in and what I've been talking about for most of my whole career. My first album had a lot of samples from The Prisoner in it, and it was all about, it was called When We Were Young, and it was the perspective of like me growing up, but it was about the individual and the right of the individual to be individual and the importance of the sacred individual versus like the Borg idea of everyone sort of thing that was being pushed. And that was from the perspective of a young person who'd been raised listening to lots of Billy Bragg and assumed that socialism was a good idea because that's what their parents had told them. But the most important thing to me was the individual, and how it was always the individual throughout moments in history that had done the things that pushed us forward or saved us from catastrophe or whatever, and how it was really important to allow that to exist. And then I sort of came back around full circle around with the MEANINGWAVE stuff, and with and Peterson was the thing that galvanized me into doing music sampling other people talking as a long form thing. Previously I'd done little bits of it in mixtapes, but it was him. It was like he just had so much material and sounded so good, and it sounded so good over music. I was like, holy shit, I could actually like do an album of this. There's like multiple albums of this.
Well, that's what I thought about, because when I first was exposed to your work, I always thought in my head, like, man, someone needs to kind of like get some of these more interesting lectures and maybe like make them into a concise sort of track. And I was like, someone needs to do this. And then I saw your work, and I was like,
I feel like you can make it.
That's what I was thinking all along.
I think you can make it have like broader appeal in terms of the fact that it's musical and it's fun. It appeals to young people, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's also it's communicating something that means something deeply. And the only way, there's religion, and another way to bind people together is through music. There's nothing. There are only like the two most tight knit communities that you can think of, are either the religious or musical communities.
Or sports.
Right? Those are like the three. Those are like the trifecta. That's like the trifecta.
Yeah.
Right.
And sports is kind of a replacement for war.
Yeah.
Music is kind of
point.
a replacement for the religious experience in the modern sort of.
I don't know if we can say that it's
world.
a replacement for it.
Well, it acts in that fashion.
Yeah.
I know for a fact people who go
towards
clubbing and go gigs and stuff.
It almost feels like, though,
they
especially
go
when
for these
there's
transcendent experiences that you used to get in church.
Right.
And they go for the community aspect that you used to get in church. And these are people who don't go to church anymore. So I do see that as.
Yeah, it's just almost like I see that almost as.
I saw that in the UK a lot.
But the thing,
the UK has been sort of removed of religion for a good 20 or so
Very
years.
secular.
The unfortunate thing is that church doesn't give you cirrhosis of the liver, and so
You're
some
not
of
doing
us.
it right.
if you're doing it
going
right,
back around for that communion thing a couple times.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, that's the case. The thing is, it almost seems like the club, as much as I enjoy it, is almost like a dysfunctional substitute for that.
Oh, it completely is. It's
Well, it
dreadful.
falls short tremendously.
Yeah.
Right, in the
Yeah,
water.
Just like
really
it's
does.
giving you like this low resolution experience of the same thing.
I mean, also it depends. I mean, because again, with that one, a lot of people involved in that world aren't taking it seriously or doing it properly. A lot of DJs aren't treating their audiences with the requisite sort of care. A lot of DJs.
Well, it becomes a job probably.
Yeah,
It's
like
not
most
you're
of them.
doing- And I can see how that becomes because people at clubs are fucking annoying.
You've got an opportunity there to create a transcendent experience.
No,
every
you can.
time. You can
It's
create
definitely,
something
yeah.
that people will carry with them, not just for the rest of the week, but for the rest of their lives. You have
Which
that.
is almost doubly incredible because they're drunk,
people
so like
do
their
that.
memories are impaired,
Well,
and
brings
then
to mind
they
also-
still
yeah.
remember it.
But yeah.
It almost seems like it touches
Yeah.
them deeper. Like they could be, no matter how drunk they are, they'll still remember that particular night when that song came on, and they were with like their friend group. It was like a specific friend group, and they were on a specific occasion, and that particular song came on and just coalesced to such that they were able to express themselves in that. And obviously, dancing is expression, so they expressed themselves in the way that just like created the utmost meaning.
And it's not necessarily rational either.
Yeah.
It's more like, sort of moving yourself to a beat. It's not really necessarily a
Well, it's
rational thing to do.
It's purposely
It's like transcendent.
irrational.
Yeah,
It's purposely
yeah.
irrational, and that's. I mean,
And there's a beauty in that as well.
Yeah.
It also brings to mind
opens you up.
artists.
It opens you up to the transcendent.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it allows you to receive, and then if you're doing it with other people, which is the spiritual thing, the beautiful thing, then that heightens that.
Collective conscious.
Exactly.
Well, it brings to mind artists like M83, for instance, which
Yeah.
kind of like play on that really.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
there's
their
a couple of
focus.
his records I use in certain moments to deliberately trigger transcendent experiences.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There's one thing I worked out. It was completely accidentally, but if you combine one of his records with I Need Kamosi's Here Comes the Hot Stepper, like it lifts the whole thing
Yeah.
up like 23%, and everyone in the room gets the hairs go up on their arms type thing.
Well,
There's
especially
combinations
Hurry Up
of
We're
things.
Dreaming. That's like, that's the ultimate.
Which one's that one?
That's the one with the two children on the bed,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if you recall. It's like a bluish album cover. They're sitting on the bed, and it's just called "Hurry Up We're Dreaming." It's probably one of his most popular records because it features that one song that everyone plays. Like I don't know what it's called.
So
but
I was wondering-
Anyway, it's really popular because it's transcended.
I was wondering as someone
I
who
know
frequently
things.
goes to the club, what's it like from the DJ's perspective when you play that track that you realize is just resonating with the crowd on a very deep level? Like, what is that? Like, what do you derive a lot of satisfaction from that? As
No,
someone who,
if you're doing it properly, it exists as like an energy sort of triangle or something, or an energy.
explain your
circle.
symbol, right?
Yeah, so you're like, you
Wave.
put it out, and then it reaches the corners, then it comes back, and then it comes back, and it keeps doing this thing if you're doing it properly. And if you get it going really well, it's just this constant stream, and it builds and builds and builds. Then you hit one of those moments, and then the whole thing kind of explodes.
DJs are like modern-day
and everyone
priests.
feels it. Yeah.
Well, that's the difference between a bad DJ and a good DJ.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's sort
yeah.
of like bad DJ can't really pick up on these cues and generally
Yeah.
like or fumbles them in the end because
Yeah.
I've
It's
experienced
the
that.
thing, yeah, and it's like it's kind of like playing chess because you're thinking moves ahead, but at the same time you're riding this energy and building that, and you have to be able to completely like switch tack at any given moment. Because any one person, you can be in a room of like 500 people, and a single person, their energy can disrupt the energy of everybody else if it's done in a.
So you have to
weird
make sure
way or
it's
whatever.
not a single person.
Honestly,
like,
well, for example, I was DJing on
that sounds
Saturday,
so hard. That
and
sounds-
one guy came in.
Wow.
He was sort of leaning on the DJ booth, and he had this bad energy about him anyway. And just the minute he appeared in the DJ booth, this little ripple went out, right? Because the focus is
Yeah.
all there. And then he picks his phone. He's like looking at it. He's like, and you could feel it going.
But the inverse
And
is-
I was like, I just grabbed this. I was like, dude, do not fucking stand in the middle of my dance floor on your fucking phone, you fucking ingrate.
Oh,
the fuck
wow.
out of here. He's like, what the fuck? And he sort of stepped back, and he was immediately, his space was filled by sort of dancing girls.
Exactly.
And he was sort of pushed back in this sea of people.
Right.
And you saw the whole place, the whole room just sort of picked up and swole. And 99.999% of the people that hadn't even seen this guy looked at him, but everyone felt what had happened and all that stuff. It's like, and you realize that's the case in all of society. Like, and this goes down to Peterson's whole thing about, like, what if one person just sorted themselves out?
Yeah.
The ripple effects of that. It's you see
And honestly,
this.
that's correct. I see the parallel. Honestly, it's almost like clubs are a perfect microcosm of it.
Yes.
Because the inverse is also true of the guy on the phone. The inverse is true of the guy who is like super free spirited.
Yeah, no.
The moment that he's just like letting go, he doesn't have to be skillful at dancing, but so long as he's letting go and he's like genuinely appreciating the moment, then the entire crowd responds accordingly.
Yeah, it does, and they wouldn't even have to see him. I
Yes.
see this. So this will happen all the time.
Yeah.
Someone will start like doing a bit of showy off dancing, and someone else will be like, hey,
Yeah,
they'll join
it's a
in.
ripple.
You'll see within seconds the
ripple.
ripple's gone all
Yeah.
the way over the other side, and
Yeah.
people over the other side are suddenly having way more fun, and they didn't even see this guy.
Well, that reminds me of the way Peterson framed our existence, in which it's a sort of node in a neural network of
Right.
just hundreds
Which Elon Musk
of
talks
beings.
about on my
Yeah.
new record as well. I love the way I
So
keep
I-
finding these where different people
Akira
are
The
talking
Don.
about the same thing. It's like, it's a beautiful,
Notice that's exactly. I mean, us here right now. It's just that's what meaning is. There's a sort of central truth and a central narrative that is attempting to be described by great swaths of people. That's probably why Peterson finds so much meaning in the Bible, because it's not just one author. It's a bunch of people over a long period of time trying to convey the same thing, which is kind of what we're doing right now.
When it also like thousands upon, well, not thousands, millions upon millions, sort of enacting these sort of truisms in their own day to day, and finding that they're effective in certain ways, and you know.
That's the
Applying them to
exciting
their
thing,
lives, yeah.
is seeing what's been happening over the past year or so as people start enacting this stuff in their lives and the ripple effect of that. And I get like hundreds of messages every day from people who are like, oh my god, I've been like doing this thing, and like I had a friend and he wouldn't listen, but like he liked the music, so now he's doing it, and now he doesn't take smack anymore, or now he's got a job, or now this guy's an actor, and da-da-da. It's like, it's amazing how many people actively sort of putting these things into their day-to-day lives on a sort of just like functional level, and their lives are changing, and the lives of their families are changing, the lives of everyone around them is changing.
Well, it's a serious repudiation of the sort of nihilism that's easy to sort of fall into, in which
Which is
you know,
beautiful.
people feel like, well, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just a guy in a rock, so what does it matter? When in reality, I mean, just your actions alone and what you put out into the world can really just ripple into like hundreds of people's lives, and consequently thousands, really. The breadth of your influence can really just can't be understated, let's say.
Yeah, no, it's you don't know how you're going to influence any number of people.
Dominoes,
and the unfortunate thing is, like, so much of life is just the throes of circumstance. It's, you don't know. I mean, there's a positive and a negative side of that. Like, you don't know what will come out of your actions, but the best thing that you can do is act. So you don't know if it's going to have any effect at all. If it does, you should probably maybe set your expectations lower. Probably maybe, look, I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but you should still, like, that was very discouraging, but nevertheless, you should, maybe I'm wrong about that. I repudiate my previous sentiment. You should set them high, but maybe, like, just have the idea that it's not going to amount to much, and just throw as much shit at the wall until it sticks. And once it does stick, if your expectations are low enough, then you'll be overjoyed. You'll be overgraced. That's important. You probably,
Motivational.
That is
messages right
I'm
there.
I'm not going to be a motivational. That's it. I'm not a motivational.
Throw shit at the wall, see what sticks.
Throw shit at the wall.
Hashtag Christian O'Brien.
Quote Christian
inspirational
O'Brien.
speaker.
Yeah, check it on
The new Fousey tuber.
What do you guys think?
What the kids say?
What did the kids say? What did their parents all say?
Shout out to everybody looked in. Nicole M. Segrest says, I'm pregnant. Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I think you should name your child
Akira
Lex Christian.
Maybe make one of those its middle name.
Yeah.
Shapiro Riptide.
Shapiro Riptide.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So Peppers is correct, meaning is the wave. Multiverse media space.
Shout out MF Doom.
Shout out MF Doom. I love MF Doom. MF Doom has the most buttery rap voice of all time, and he also put Charles Bukowski on a rap song before me. So yeah, big up MF Doom. Ezekiel Houghton says #worms. I agree. Victor Snow says 1791 is nailing the 95 theses at the doors of conservatism.
The 95 theses. What 1791 is nailing the 95 theses at the doors of conservatism.
Yeah,
very nice.
It sounds like a punk band.
No, I'm familiar. I've become. The 95 theses. I think I'm familiar. You know what? I'm gonna Google it because I've seen that today actually.
What's that?
I've seen the 95 theses.
You've seen like the.
I've seen somebody reference it.
Oh, I see.
On a particular Twitter account that we follow.
Yeah.
What's that? Is this one of those ones you're not allowed to mention?
It's one of those. It's one of those. I can't shout out.
Is it Calvin B. King, Paul Town?
Dude, what the fuck? Oh, it's Martin Luther's 95 Theses. Wow. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
Paul Town's cool.
No, obviously, of course, no, it wasn't that. It wasn't Paul.
Shouts out
Shout out Town.
No, I actually read about the 95 Theses.
Oh, you did?
Recently,
Okay.
which is what that's why it resonated. That's why it resonated. It was
Okay.
it was Martin Luther's 95 Theses. That's correct. That was one of the books he wrote. Yeah.
Right, what's that about? I don't know. I don't
Honestly,
know anything about
no. Here's the thing. No. I'm not a Martin Luther fucking scholar. Like I've read a decent bit about him, but I have not actually read the 95.
Well, the 95 Theses focused
I
on
think that
the
was like his
criticisms of
magnum
the Catholic
opus
Church.
of what we described, right?
yeah.
Yes.
They were his main criticisms about the Catholic Church.
I should send Mark and Sam the live stream.
Perhaps.
Personal
Yeah.
friends.
Personal what?
Personal friends.
Personal friends. So we've actually been on for an hour, by the way.
We have?
So we will.
Wow.
We need to start wrapping this up. Question. Which
should.
is saying that's flown. I thought we'd only been on for about 20 minutes.
Really?
Now,
That's the
now,
thing when you're talking about things that matter.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about what's going on right now, as I kind of alluded to earlier, what's interesting about you guys is you're like self. Not even. You're not wishy-washy about it. You're not like, oh yeah, the left has the left has left us, so we're stepping into bold new territory. You know, we're right wing guys, and like we're groovy.
We're not Dave Rubin, that's for sure. Like, I feel like Dave Rubin is obviously a right winger, but he sort of pretends he's coming from a leftist perspective, or that
He
he
used to
still
be like-
is.
he was a
leftist, but
He's a libertarian now, though, isn't he?
He's a libertarian.
He's a centrist
now.
figure.
Centrist. I don't like that domain of
Hashtag
ambiguity.
centrist,
I don't
hashtag
know. Maybe I'm too
possible.
ideological, but I feel like far too many people feel the need to pretend that they are more moderate than they really are.
Okay, that was it. Sorry. So this
Yes.
reminds me. What I was thinking earlier was like, with regards to something you were saying, it's that you're kind of taught that it's kind of like the Star Wars thing
Yes.
of the Force,
The Force.
the dark side, and the light side. And everyone's you basically just told that
J.
right is
Kira.
right as baddies, and the left is the goody
yeah,
goodies,
yeah.
and that's it. That's what it was for the past 30 years or whatever. Do you feel that this is changing now as a result of people growing up with just more information from the internet, or do you think something else is going on?
The pendulums, definitely.
I mean, I feel like neither I nor anybody is qualified to answer the question of what's going on. It's fucking total madness, to be honest with you, man. It's fucking nuts. Like it's really not. The pendulum's going all over the place.
So rather than swinging,
It's swinging rightward for the moment, but with modern society, everything is by the moment. I mean, Donald Trump teaches us that much, right? It's just like anything can happen. Donald Trump is, by the way, a perfect representation of the current era.
No.
By virtue of the fact that the guy was a leftist his entire life. He woke up yesterday morning, he became a conservative, not Republican, I should say.
Yeah.
And he has no appreciation of philosophical conservatism. And it represents the vast majority of people. That's why he was elected. He's the vast majority of people who don't have any philosophical fidelity.
All right, so
Somewhere
here's the
guttural,
thing. I
instinctual,
think
yeah.
that a lot of people just don't know what conservatism actually is. They know that they've been fed this sort of like cartoon thing from the media or whatever, that those are the evil baddie guys and they want to steal your ovaries.
Everyone has a cartoon thing of
Right.
fucking every way of thinking.
So what is it to you? What does it mean to you?
That's
That's
a
a
good
very
question.
profound question, but
It's like it's something I've spent a lot of time reading about and thinking about. I view it fundamentally as just like a realist's perspective. That sounds like a very biased take to something that is so polarizing as the term conservative. But the way I view it is just realism, essentially, by which I try to view that which is workable pragmatically. I just try to say, okay, the conservative approach is such that you look at history and you say what has worked.
Yeah.
And it's not that we should stall the progress of history, but we should stall overzealous movement toward radical ideas. Somebody comes across and they say that I have this radical way of changing something that we've been doing for the last 1,000 years. And the conservative will say with a skeptical eye, are you sure that's going to work? Is that not going to bring us to a worse place than where we already are? Should we change things too quickly?
and there's meaning in tradition as well.
There's meaning in tradition. Tradition has worked. Tradition is tradition for a reason because it's that which has worked over a long period of time.
and for millions and millions
Now,
of people.
that's not always right. Sometimes we do need to change sometimes. But frankly, I would say most of the time, radical change has worked to humanity's detriment. Most of the time. I mean, obviously socialism, obviously Nazism. Like, if I have to, be frank. Those things were both radical ideas, a third way in the case of Nazism, a radical change from the money class. I mean, the only radical change that has seemed to have worked is the Industrial Revolution. Which
Even then, though, it presents
which almost
its
has
own
worked
problems.
almost too well. The Industrial Revolution
Yeah.
has worked almost too well. It's worked too well.
That's still unfolding.
Yeah, it's still unfolding.
Though we're
It's
kind
so,
of relatively early in that.
we
still.
just
There's
don't know
like
how
half
it'll
the world
play
has
out.
Still gotta,
Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's an interesting point because it also brings to mind the sort of heralding of the free market and technology, which is directly connected to the free market by the hands of conservatives. So we're seeing like the entire landscape of our society change so radically thanks to technology. And 20 years ago, what we see today, as far as like the way we operate, the way we live our lives, has changed so radically, and we don't really know what the consequences of that are going to be. We're still barreling towards this sort of technological revolution, and there's no end in sight, and we don't know what the effects are going to be on our society, frankly.
well, I mean, obviously there's so many concerns that, I mean, it would be, this podcast would run into the 8-hour mark if we were to articulate, you know,
Well, that's
AI, nuclear, all of these new challenges that are posed by technology.
Well, that's
that
sort
people
of the
wanna brush
contradiction
under the rug and
among-
pretend. Well, it's like
It's a contradiction among conservatives.
This is the one thing that's
right?
almost like truly not ideological, which is that conservatives have their skepticism, liberals have their skepticism about the march of progress, even. Quite frankly, even progressives have their questions about the march of progress. And it's like the libertarians, they just want to keep moving forward, full brace ahead. And they've been right, but they continue to ignore the human aspect of change. They continue to ignore, like, well, materially, of course, Steven Pinker, who I would almost characterize as a little bit, he claims to be on the left, he's a little bit libertarian. He thinks that everything is moving forward in a positive direction. What's the worry? Why should we bother with all these other concerns? They're just noise. And so they set as the rubric just material wellness. And it's like, material wellness can prove equally destructive, if not more so, than material deprivation.
Well, that's what they had in Up, right? And there was like fat guys in eggs just floating around. And you know, they had lots of material wellness, but they were fat guys in eggs. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's
Maybe a fat guy in
a
eggs?
consideration.
Maybe a
certainly.
fat eye. That's right. Was that Wally?
Yeah.
Wally. That's
Yeah.
right.
What did I
Wally.
say?
That you
Yeah.
said.
I made the connection in my head. I was
No,
like,
I realized that connected with me. I honestly, that's an interesting connection you drew. I never thought of Wally as the ultimate end game of our current state. That
Yeah,
could very well
that's
be.
like that's the utopian one. That's the
That's-
one where it's like
that's the pink.
That's the best case scenario.
That's the
everyone's
Steven
happy,
Pinker
everyone's
utopia.
Fed. We're all looked after. The AI isn't like trying to kill us in an obvious way.
So we're not killing each other. Maybe you want to kill each other.
Yeah.
Here's the controversy.
Maybe death
we
is
couldn't
good.
fucking.
And that's
maybe
the end
we
of
want-
this.
Maybe we want to. That's the problem. It's almost like, well, that's kind of what drives the alt right. They're like, okay, maybe they want to retreat into our nature. That's obviously wrong. And then some people, like the progressives, want to retreat from our nature. So they don't want to recognize IQ. They don't want to recognize gender differences.
Yeah.
And the alt right wants to embrace all of those things.
Exactly.
And so,
that's
like,
why they're so nice together. They're just like
Yeah.
the perfect couple.
exactly.
They're the perfect
Yeah.
kind of like, you know.
Well, they're both
It's like the crackhead couple that batter each other and then just like roll around on a pile of broken glass and fuck and make a little crack baby and like that's those guys.
That's easy.
They're
That's
so
why.
cute.
It's
Yeah.
fucking easy. It's
It
fucking
is.
easy to answer.
It requires
you have the
no
answer.
deep
Oh,
thought. It requires no sacrifice of anything of yourself.
Yeah.
Like the hard bits, that deadwood burning shit.
Yeah.
You can just go all in on Anyway, yeah, that whole
I
thing,
can
that would
relate.
kick up another thing.
That
Let's take a question from our beautiful audience
Our
before
beautiful
we switch
audience.
off the microphones. And
Let's make it count,
engage in
audience.
our
Don't disappoint us. Make it
illumination
count.
visual. Yes, I'm sure they will. They're like, I think we have lovely audiences.
no, we do.
I have a wonderful audience. You guys, from what I've seen of them, they seem fantastic.
They are.
Also, like, just really not what people say. These things. Everyone's always like, "Oh yeah, people on YouTube are so toxic." They're so
We have really
disgusting."
smart. We have a really smart. The thing is, if you're a decent outlet, if you're not appealing to the lowest common denominator, which is obviously appealing, if you're obviously you'll get more clicks if you're appealing. But if you're actually willing to take the financial and view-wise hit, you will cultivate a more enlightened audience.
Oh, incidentally,
and
you
it's
got
so much more
completely-
fulfilling.
You got completely demonetized, right?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, fully
Yeah.
demonetized. And we still can't get remonetized for reasons that are vague as hell.
Well, what I suspected is, I don't know if you have seen this video, maybe you have, where there was Jordan Peterson talking to some
The
social
group
justice advocates at a university in Canada.
Well, the video that made him viral.
Yeah,
the first
like,
one, from the suspenders.
I think it got like 4
OG
million.
Peterson, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the most popular video of him back in 2017. And anyway, so that's the video that I think might be the reason why we're demonetized, because it's a re-upload. Technically, there isn't anyone who's concerned about the fact that it's online.
Yeah, no party has filed a complaint.
Yeah, there's no party that's afflicted here, so it's just them sort of giving
So
this
at
reason.
at what point in your like burgeoning growth did this occur?
Fuck. I mean,
The demonetization?
honestly, after we kind
So
of
like you're working away, you're putting out like these brilliant videos every week or whatever it is.
that's an interesting question you asked. It's because
And you're looking there in the back and going, oh look, we're going up, and look, this is starting to actually make money. We might be able to like buy a nice camera or this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
And then you like, what happens? You get to like,
we started.
This
Honestly,
happened like 4 months ago, I think, something like that.
it was.
Or it might have been
I mean,
longer,
it was
actually.
honestly some of our more successful videos. Like after the videos that get north of like 200K, we're starting to consistently get that. And they did that. And then another concern is that it feels like the demonetization hurts our algorithmic reach.
I'm told it does. I had a conversation with the people who look after H3 and all that. And one of those guys, he was a big fan of the Peterson stuff, and he gave me some tips, and he like hit me off with how the algorithms work and stuff of that nature. And yeah, if your thing gets demonetized or struck, then that goes against your algorithmic sort of placing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Honestly, it makes sense. It's
you
flagged.
guys,
honestly,
you
from
guys
a-
pop up in my algorithm.
we do. Yeah, because
you first got
because
introduced
you
me through
subscribe
that.
to us. It's
No,
like,
but before I did.
oh, before you did.
That was the thing. So before I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And other people I know, you do. So it still works.
Well, I feel like okay. Here's the thing. I feel like the algorithms are tailored such that if you are somebody who like it wants to expose you to things that you're going to like,
Yeah, because it wants you to
because
say
it
that.
wants you to see the ads.
That's what it does.
But
that's
here's the
the
thing.
most
Like,
important thing.
when you got exposed to us, were you seeing ads? Like when you saw us first,
I
were we
can't remember.
monetized? What?
I can't remember.
How long?
can't remember.
When were
What was
you
it?
made aware of
When were you?
the 1791 channel?
Oh God, maybe I don't know, like 6 months, a year ago.
Oh, okay, so that was.
So
quite
we
some
were
time ago.
monetized, right?
Yeah, we were monetized.
Yeah.
back
So
then.
so the thing is, it had an incentive to expose you to us, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm not even conspiratorial and say that the reason we got demonetized is well, that could be actually ideological. But I will say that the reason people are not algorithmically being exposed to us is that frankly we're just freeloaders on YouTube's platform. Right, we're not actually making them money.
'Cause you're
new viewers are not
demonetized,
making
yeah.
them. They're not getting a cut of that advertisal profit.
Yes, that would make sense.
So, like, would you? The question then has to be asked: you got exposed to us then, but would you get to expose to us now?
Such a weird thing because you're
What's
so
why?
like not extreme. You're so in like no way even slightly extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like.
Like you're saying nothing that's like
Well, that's why they're banning-
terrifying or hateful or anything. There's far worse stuff.
Is that well?
that seems to get.
It's worse from our perspective in terms of that it's actually worse. But is it worse from theirs? Is it
Yeah.
worse from the perspective that it's more threatening to their ideology? No,
Especially in
our point
light of
view,
the
it's more
recent
threatening.
report from the what was it called, Data and Society publication
Yeah.
about all these different YouTubers that were linked in some way,
Right.
whether it be like Cernovich and Shapiro and Spencer, and like all of them were linked in some way. They're all
No,
one
I mean here's the thing.
Right.
That's why they gun.
amorphous group.
That's why they gun for Harris and Peterson, and they don't gun for Richard Spencer
Yeah,
or whoever else, because they know that he's not actually a threat. People are not racist. Overwhelmingly, they're
Yeah,
not
Richard
racist.
Spencer's useful because you go look at this.
Yeah, he
freaking
becomes a
head
model
wrap
for the
right here.
entirety of the right. He
No one
is the
gives a
right.
fuck about that guy.
Exactly.
Like
So-
no one really gives a fuck about that guy.
Exactly. He's not culturally, and then we, frankly, are even more culturally threatening in the sense that, like, we are not people who run from rap. We're not people who
Well,
run
this
from.
is what I was saying because
Yes.
you're like groovy motherfuckers in nice well-fitted flowery shirts.
Exactly.
Like, you know who XXX
Shout out British
Tentacion
Polos.
is.
That's right. Yeah,
Probably
we were actually
and probably
contemplating making a
had the
video
new
about
Little
the
Peep
Taser.
record. I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah. Is that?
And so it's like we are attenuated to the current generation. It's like
Yeah,
we
that's
don't
some
want that getting
dangerous
out there. It's like they're talking about things that we relate to, but they have a different point of view. We don't want to add nuance to this discussion. So, what's more threatening, Richard Spencer
That's
or
why they don't like Norm. That's why Norm is suddenly persona non grata.
Norm Macdonald?
Yeah.
Yeah, the comedian.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on
Yeah.
Crowder a lot, right?
What's that?
He's on Crowder a lot.
Well, I mean, he's like a really mainstream guy. He's at the old school. He has like big shows and stuff. He's got a big
Yeah.
Netflix show, but he's like, a sort of common sense, sort of conservative guy who
Yeah.
everybody likes and relates to. So it's like, fuck, we can't have that.
They just want to pretend that perspective doesn't exist.
What brings to
there's
mind
only-
Gavin,
there's
McInnes,
only
who got banned off
insane
Twitter,
people.
you know.
Again,
Well, Gavin McInnes came from advertising, from like the punk rock scene. Of
Well, he came
course,
from like the sort of
Vice?
mothership of like sort of
Yeah.
cultural attunement. Let's
yeah,
say.
Vice kind of
You know.
was representative of that cultural sentiment. Now Vice has become stale and boring, and that's kind of what the thesis of the Eminem show sideshow was, our last video, which by the way is getting fucked by the algorithm because that used to be our fucking bread and butter. That would have done fucking 6 months ago. That'd have 300,000 views right now. Not now.
That's right. I like that.
Not now.
I like the small.
what's it got now?
It's like
90?
fucking 70,000.
It's still good.
That's
man.
all right.
It's good. It's
still
good.
It's
It's good.
still fucking good. You just got to keep fucking moving,
Yeah.
man. You just got to keep moving like a fucking shark and keep expanding and keep fucking putting
Yeah.
yourself in every area people can see and hear you.
Yeah.
And people will find you. I think you're doing
You,
very,
you
very
have
well.
to have faith that even if the powers that be are opposed to you, you can still prevail.
Well, there's
and
also-
history has taught us
yeah,
that.
there's
Like,
also
if you're on
the-
the right side and you're consistently on the right side, it doesn't matter who's in
Yeah,
power.
you just have to be consistent. And
There's
not-
also the
and not
fact that the
get scared.
audience can share it in other
They
social
can.
media platforms, and
Yeah.
that's also something that
Word of mouth is so
maybe
much
consider
more
doing.
important.
Yeah, yeah. It's basically it's these bad motherfuckers out here.
Yeah.
So let's
It
take
is,
a question
yes.
from these bad motherfuckers out
Another-
here.
Some more bad motherfuckers.
Yeah, but
Let's
it
do it.
is. It is. I love these guys.
No, they are. They're the reason that we're here right
Gang.
now.
Yo. See my chat.
Technology.
There we go.
Ted Kaczynski.
There we go. Lex says, Hez Durham 05. In the videos, you use the Constitution as a base. Can you elaborate?
We use it as a base. Okay, so I mean, that's interesting. I would say that we use it as a base in as much as that it's structured the society in which we inhabit. I mean, we're fundamentally Americans, and so we assume that the Constitution, in terms of the fact that it was truly America set the standard for the rest of society in the sense that it was something that emphasized individual liberty, which was a truly revolutionary concept.
Yes.
That set it apart from the notion of kings, of divine monarchism, that some person by glint of their birth was superior to the rest of society.
or even the internal truth of tribalism, which
Yeah.
transcends that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so many of the founding fathers, which goes so ignored, is that so many of the founding fathers were philosophically and viciously, vociferously opposed to the idea of slavery. And they thought it was, frankly, unbiblical. They thought it was ungodly, the idea of slavery. Thomas Paine wrote about this extensively. And so it's like these concepts were something, new. Obviously, America was not the first country to abolish slavery. But nevertheless, the founding fathers understood this, and it was the first government that recognized this truth and frankly embedded it in its founding document. The statement that all humans are created equal is eternally true. And I fully believe that they understood what that meant. They didn't actualize it. They didn't realize it. But because an ideal is realized and not actualized doesn't make that ideal invalid. So the ideal was true. It remained true then, as true as it is today. But they didn't, because they fell short of it, doesn't mean that our country is not presumed to be on its basis, essentially. And America is one of the first countries to articulate that, and then later realize it. And that's why that's essentially the foundation of 1791.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here.
That's why Akira's here. That's why
I'm
y'all are
'cause,
here.
Like, that's what I believe in. And yeah, that's why I fucking love this country. That's why. I
That's
brought
why-
my
that's
family
why
to
you
this
moved here.
country. That is why I moved.
He's an
here.
American at heart.
I am. Shouts out to Teresa the Kid. Thank you for the super chat. I was out bumping JBP Wave in my minivan.
Oh.
Today.
Nice.
Yo,
JBP.
bad
Let's do it.
You bad motherfucker, you in your minivan. That's righteous. That's so righteous. Yeah. Shabini wants to know thoughts on the JBP Sam Harris debates. Let's do. Okay, we'll quickly
yes.
in like.
I don't want to spoil anything for Akira.
Short answer
you-
each on.
did you
We'll
watch
do
it?
like 5 questions.
I watched
Shut this
large
down.
segments of it. You
Yeah.
watched
Alright.
all of it. I watched large segments.
So I watched
Thoughts?
all of it, and I felt like there was some moments of clarity that they had in between each other. Because definitely the first podcast that they had was kind of a clusterfuck in the
Yes.
sense that they were just totally talking past each other. And I don't want to spoil anything, but in these, I saw the 3 discussions. There's a lot of moments where they kind of sort of face each other in terms of their differences, and finally actually talk about those differences in a direct way. And definitely a must-see, must-listen.
I concur
if
with
you
that
can see.
analysis. I think that.
Does anyone own anybody? Are we going to be seeing?
No, I don't know. There's no bench.
There are some
Shapiro
contentious
owns-
moments, though. There
There
are some
were
contentious
contentious moments, frankly, where Peterson snapped. He and with
Utterly destroyed Sam
I will paraphrase him at one particular moment when he went full fucking like rapper. He went full fucking. He said I'll paraphrase and it won't be exactly correct, but he said, "Shall we go all neurocognitive science in here?" He said that to the crowd in one moment, and I went, "Fucking wreck him, Peterson. Let's get all neurocognitive science up in here. Let's do it."
There's some great moments.
So that was my favorite moment. That was like, damn.
Like-
Peterson
like
goes
Kendrick,
hard.
so to speak.
It was like Kendrick, except better.
Except
Kendrick
way better.
is overrated.
Johann de Jager has asked about
Blacklisted.
50 times, can you pronounce my name? Well, I just did.
You just
Johann de
did.
Jager.
Johann?
Johann de Jager.
Is that what you reckon?
Jager shots. Jagermeister.
Like Jaeger.
Jägermeister.
Someone get me
Did you
some
say Jaeger?
Jaeger.
Shit.
Yeah. Why isn't there a leftist bubble on YouTube? There's a lot of right-leaning speakers, but I
will
couldn't find someone identifying as a leftist.
I will say this, that there
Says
is
Laxel Best.
some of the those on the right, or at least center right, or even center, are getting a little bit lazy, and I feel like there is a counter reaction that will soon be seen more broadly in your algorithmic searches, I guess. And I guess most notably, you have H Bomber guy, you have ContraPoints, you have all of these nascent sort of leftist, avowedly leftist YouTubers who are putting, it seems, a lot more effort into their content than a lot of people on the right, I'll say.
No, they are because they're motivated.
They're motivated.
Right. The right has there are Paul Joseph Watsons or Charlie Kirks who are low-hanging fruit, who are clearly ideological, and they're not actually flexing their intellectual muscle. And so you have a lot of leftists who are picking on that. In the same way that a lot of right-wingers picked on the SJWs and got to fame, they're recognizing that there's a similar response on the right that they can pick on. Yeah. Right, and so they're beginning to pick up steam, pick up traction, and they do so through being like very smug, and it's just like that's another unfortunate part of our culture.
Do you think smugness is going out? I feel smugness was kind of cool in
unless
the
it's
late 90s,
comfortable,
and I feel smug is unattractive now. But it was the defining attribute of a lot of like late night television and early YouTube.
Yeah,
sort of
well, I mean that was
stuff.
our late night. That was our late night video. In which we tried to articulate that it's just like people are tired of it. They can recognize when somebody is undeservedly smug. Like you can be smug.
I feel smug and snide is just not cool now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
It's kind of lame.
Fucking. It is lame. It's fucking stupid. Like when you're just mocking your opponent when you can realize that they're actually smart. I mean, somebody like. I'm sure you're familiar with Anthony Fantano.
Oh, yeah, I was about.
Are you familiar with Fantano?
Of course.
Yes.
I'm on the internet.
Yeah, of course. You're cool. You're one of the kids.
Shout out Melon.
Yeah.
Hello, fellow young people. But no, he
Fantano. They fucking came after him for fucking reviewing memes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. His favorite pastime is shitting on Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And he willfully takes Peterson out of context. He willfully misrepresents Peterson's views. He willfully
in a vest or in a tank top.
And it's fucking tank top while being overweight.
Yeah, I know.
You lift, but like you're not lean. You're not like
you lift.
Try the carnivore diet. Take a page out of Peterson's book.
Exactly. Are you guys on the carnivore diet?
veganism. Sorry.
Are you guys on the carnivore diet?
I attempt it, but sometimes I slip up and I'll have what'll I have? What do I have?
I mean, you'll have pizza occasionally.
I'll have like a pizza. Sorry,
I'm definitely low carb. Like I work at a pizza joint as well.
Oh my god.
My side job. But
you're a low carb guy working at a pizza joint.
Exactly. That is.
But look at you when you're in a nice fitting shirt. You're not eating.
That's because I don't eat the pizza. I rarely do, but it becomes tempting. Tempting.
You eat the top off and then you leave the slices and you look like a freak. But,
you do. I do actually. I literally do that. I sit there and I'll eat the toppings off of the pizza. And
you stack the slices.
That is very strange to most people.
That is what serial killers do.
That's my other hobby.
Last question then from Sir Peppers. Actually, second to last question. There'll be one more question after this question, and then we're out. This has been a bonus length stream.
This has been
bonus length stream.
Bonus. Do you have a?
But you know,
do you have a soundboard for the bonus?
Oh yeah, good point.
We got something bonus wise. Oh!
Everyone clap at home.
Oh. There you go. You get the laser. I loaded up that laser just before you came here. We haven't had the laser before, so that was a brand new laser.
Oh,
inaugural laser.
The perfect timed laser.
What's the question?
We did.
Oh yeah. Is there an awakening? Asks Sir Peppers, of conservatives with more openness? Because both of you guys make me think that.
Is with trade openness?
Yes, I believe he means trade openness.
It's definitely a rare,
usually associated with left.
Yes, I know that is
a rare quality.
That is an interesting question because I believe that is almost the case. I think that more people who are not temperamentally inclined toward conservatism are realizing that you can reconcile conservatism with aesthetic, with just like coolness to make it lame. Aesthetic. You can do that, and in fact, the values it coincides with your proclamation that wholesome is the new punk.
Wholesome is the new punk.
It almost is. It's almost rebellious to say like I want to have kids.
It's not almost. It is.
It is.
Really
It is. Like you talk to most people, you talk to most women, most guys. I don't want kids. That costs a lot of money. In fact, I was of that mindset, so I can relate. I don't want fucking kids. Fuck that. Costs like what, $300,000, $1 million by the time they're 18 to raise them. Holy shit! I could buy like 12 Ferraris with that money.
And how much?
And then you realize
Ferraris
You've
don't
heard of
wake
that,
up.
probably?
Ferraris do not wake up in the morning and giving you a cuddle and going da 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 da.
Exactly.
Look what I made you a book.
Yeah.
Look what I did. You're like, damn motherfucker, you came out of my nuts. Now you're making
And now,
books.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is frankly, unfortunately, I'm not a dad yet, but I strive toward it. I really do. That is Dostoevsky. If I can give Dostoevsky a shout out, he articulated that most beautifully. And have you read Notes from Underground?
No.
Oh, you have to read that.
We might do a video on this, so
You know,
Okay.
keep an eye out.
we're gonna make.
Yeah.
We're probably actually. You know what? We're going to make a video about that particular section, which was, in my edition, pages 94 and 95, and I won't dare attempt to convey it, but it's just like he describes love and fatherhood, basically, more beautifully than anything I've ever seen. And it's just like the first time I read that, it just floored me. It was just like it almost brought me to tears, if I may be so non-heteronormative.
Shout out to
Shout out tears.
Shout out to my crybaby ass.
works of art.
Works of art. No,
Cry.
it did. It was
That's what
just.
it's about, man.
So but the entire book is beautiful. If I could recommend, it's in my top 10. If you have the opportunity to read it, read Notes from the Underground, because it just like expresses.
I think this has pushed me over the edge on this one. Literally, like it's ridiculous that I haven't. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, it's been wonderful having you.
It's been
here.
a fucking beauty.
Akira, will there be a 1971 wave after this?
Maybe a 17.
I mean, there could be. I mean, I don't know what's going on in the 1970s. Maybe Jimi Hendrix, was he still going around then?
I DJ in a club every Sunday that's a 70s time machine and just plays 70s music.
Is there rollerblades available?
When are we going to see you, DJ?
I don't know when you're going to see me DJ.
When are you DJing?
DJing all the time. Tonight I'm DJing at Madam Siam. Tomorrow I'll be at No Vacancy. That's always very lit. I'll be at Good Times on Sunday. But yeah, you should come out.
We'll do it.
That sounds-
Very
that
well.
sounds
We'll
good.
keep
Very, very welcome.
Sounds good to
Very
me.
good.
On the guest list, you can walk past queues of people and feel like bad motherfuckers.
That would be bad. We'll have to wear.
Well,
Yo,
We're wearing our
like
suits?
Stride by. Yeah.
All right. Was that the stream?
Yeah, I think that was the stream.
I'm gonna have fun reading over the.
All these, there's loads of questions, but they're like really deep, long. We'll be for another fucking 8 hours.
Jesus.
I'll tell you what.
that can of worms.
I think we'll do this again. Now
We
we've
should do
met
this
each
again.
other.
Yeah. Worms.
I think I like you guys.
I think
I think
so.
I like
I
you
think
too.
I was right
Yeah.
in my estimation.
Honestly,
fun.
you characterized the channel better than I could have characterized the channel, which is saying something. That was pretty good.
Good.
That was, you are very well attuned to what we're doing, what our mission is, and that is a good thing. I like that.
Shabba.
Boop.
Shabba.
It smells like you triggered it.
Yo, man, smack
triggered.
his hand and he sneezes. Fucking amazing. That's
my trigger. Sneezing.
Yo, I've been Akira The Don, and this has been Lex and Christian, and yeah, you can check them out. There's a link in the description of this video.
many sneezes for a
If
second?
you're listening to this on the podcast,
Relax,
there'll be a link
homie.
there. Elon.
Can't relax, dude.
Elon, A Space
edge.
Odyssey came out today. It is a new album by me. It's, I believe, my 3rd album in 4 weeks. That's
Oh,
pretty
that's
good
nice.
going. Elon, A Space Odyssey. It's an album starring Elon Musk. He's talking about going to space. I agree with him. I think that's where we should go. That's why I don't feel bad about eating cows, because cows don't have thumbs. And if cows want to go to space, and I'm pretty sure cows do want to go to space, they need me and my homies to eat them and take us into space. That's what the fuck is up. If one of those big ass asteroids hits the Earth, there'll be no more fucking cows. But if we happen to go into space and set up a nice colony, there'll be cows in space, motherfucker. That's why it's okay to eat cows. That's why Peter can suck my dick. All right.
Therefore, eating cows is in the favor of cows.
What do we know about Akira The Don?
That he loves killing cows.
Cow life.
Yeah.
Cow life. There we go. Woo! That's
Vegans?
pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
We touched on a lot of shit.
We touched.
Yeah, that was quite a wide-reaching.
a lot of shit.
That was one of my more